Who am I? The girls them sugar. And we live. What's up? What's up?
Oh, play the drop.
The girls them sugar. Hold on, you know I'm new to this, bro.
Play the drop now.
Both got backs, you know what I'm saying? We both got
Run it back now. Run it back now.
Hold on, man. We got him. We got him. We got him, bro. We got him, bro.
We out here. Radio. We got money now. We got money now. What up, though?
What's up, man? How you living?
Hey, man. Blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored. I love it, bro. I love it.
We out here,
Second edition of the video podcast. I remember last time you said the no audio podcast.
Oh, well, damn, if you see the fucking visuals from that last one, you would have wished you just went audio.
No pod at all.
That shit looks bad.
You're right.
How you doing, bro?
Good, man. Good. Shit, we feeling good. I'm feeling good about this episode. I like the topics that we got.
For real. Well, I know one particularly that you interested in getting to. But let's start off like we always do. Let's talk about some new music. So, you want me to go first? You go first. What you think?
I'll go first on these. On this Ace Hood kind of EP. Ace Hood dropped an EP called Self Preservation. It's basically just 3 singles. It's not really an EP. I would say the EP would probably have more, but you can. I mean,
3-pack.
Yeah, it's just a little drop, but it just Ace Hood is extremely talented. Like I always liked Ace Hood. I always thought he was like one of the top lyricists. He could really rap, but he just never kind of exploded into the mainstream like I wanted him to. He kind of like maybe even Los. I don't know if he has the bars like Los, but he's like one of those rappers that like, damn, this dude could really rap, but just never really made it to the mainstream. But these 3 songs is fire though. These 3 songs is fire, and if it's part of a rollout, I'm here for it because I've always liked Ace Hood movies. I've always liked Ace Hood music, and hopefully he can keep it going and eventually like get into that top 5. Because as we know, it's like we come on every time and it's open, right? Like we know the top 3, but the rest of it is kind of open. We've talked about Rhapsody, we've talked about Jordan Lucas in there, we talked about Big Sean in there, we talked about Chance in there. But it's always, and we can't really put Travis Scott in there because he's not talented in that way. He's not you can put him at maybe as artist, but he's not a top 5 rapper to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Lil, you've already got the numbers, but he's not a top 5 rapper. So
right.
As far as just rapping, just like having lyrics and things of that nature, he could probably be there. He just got to, I really don't know I don't even really know what he could do.
You know what I think took his lane? I think Meek kind of stepped in his lane, because when you listen to his songs and Meek's, they kind of mirror up, and then Meek trajectory just kind of like took off, or he kind of took his, like Space Jam, he took all his powers and just took off on
him. For real though. But yeah, I'm fucking with that though. I'm fucking with the singles and shit. That's all I got for singles though. We can get into the bigger stuff for if you got singles.
Well, it's not a single, but it's kind of like a freestyle. But Louie Banks, he dropped a hunting season freestyle. Yeah. And I've been listening heavily to the Joe Budden podcast, and they've been talking about Louie Banks a lot lately. And I kind of slept on him, not even going to lie to you. Like, I just figured like he was like one of 50 Cent's just projects, you know what I mean? But he really does have like hits. His catalog is really respectable. And when they talked to him, and they talked about like how the growing of Griselda kind of opened up a lane that he can kind of flourish in with like bars and like a specific New York sound. When he went off on that hunting season instrumental, like it's like almost 3 minutes of just bars. Like every single bar is just like boom, 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 boom. So Louie Banks hunting season freestyle. That's a pretty dope one.
Yeah, they was Joe Budden be shitting though. So Joe Budden was trying to shit, so they went and did a Joe Budden versus Louie Banks. It was funny because Joe Budden was at himself kind of doing the battle, and Louie doing Louie Banks. I don't really know how that turned out. I didn't get to tune into the whole thing, but I'm sure that's interesting. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, but Louie Banks definitely still got bars.
Maul killed me, bro.
What's up?
I still think he could have won that Fab versus Lil Wayne thing, bro.
Man.
Bro, he won't let it go, dog. He really won't let it go, bro.
There is no competition.
Yeah, the whole list of excuses, bro. Like,
I wasn't even trying. Of course, I could. If I would have did this, I would have won.
Lil Wayne, he wasn't even really saying nothing crazy. He was just like, it was just, he performed those, so it was a big deal. I was like, all right, bro.
I could have went soul taping in the summertime shootout. It wouldn't even been close. Like,
it wouldn't have been close. It wouldn't have been close. That's the problem.
I respect the loyalty, and I respect the consistency though. Like I respect like he go down that hill. Like we all know, but
yeah, he not getting. Yeah,
All right, I'll talk about some because I know either you probably don't want to hear about them or you probably haven't listened to these albums. So I'll get out my couple albums in a real quick one. So Alina Baraz, R&B singer, she dropped a project called "It Was Divine." Solid, definitely a dope project. Got features on there like Shmino, Khalid. She got Moneybagg Yo and Bia on there. Like it's dope project. No, I'm sorry, I'm mixing her up with Kiana Lede. I'm sorry. She got.
I was thinking. I was like, sound really familiar.
No, she got Black, Shmino, Khalid, and even Nas on there. So it's more of a laid back kind of classy. Like Kiana Lede is kind of like sipping some Douce or whatever like that. This is kind of like drinking some wine. Like it's a little bit more like popish, but it's still R&B, still soulful. I definitely do appreciate it. It Was Divine, dope project from I think I'm saying her name right, Alina Baraz. And then for rap, wanted to highlight Mozzie. He just dropped a project called Beyond Bulletproof. If you're not familiar, Mozzie is a California artist. Very, very street sound, very much a California sound, talking about like his gangbanging ways. He definitely gonna tell you how much of he a blood. He definitely got songs on there reminding you like, hey, what, like who jumped you in the hood? Like the homies want to know. But then I kind of figured out why I like street rappers so much. Like I remember we was talking about like the baby, how we don't want to encourage that type of like behavior, but I kind of figured it out. Like people are going to live in that lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's just inevitable. That's just what our community is. And Nipsey Hussle had an interview a while back where he said that, God rest the dead Nip, he said, back in the day, you can listen to a rap album and then still get the same principles because if your dad wasn't in the house. So he kind of wanted to rap in a way to where you could listen to his albums and you still get the same type of game that you would get from an OG or a man of respect or somebody that, you know, if you didn't have that in the household. And I think that I like street rappers like that because they very much could just go off the deep end and do crazy stuff and, you know what I mean, live without morals. But if you got somebody that lived in that street life that can give you that game, you gotta have to highlight those individuals. So Mozzie definitely did that with this project, telling you the good and the bad of what his choice is. Like he said, like if I had a choice, I wouldn't gangbang. It's not nothing that like I want to do. It's just my environment forced me into that position. Like this isn't cool. It was just a way to survive. So I always like to hear that perspective from people if they're gonna rap about that type of lifestyle. So Mozzie, Beyond Bulletproof, definitely a dope project. And well, then yeah. And then definitely
I'm about to fuck around.
It's dope because normally a Mozzie album you can kind of figure it out. Like you know he gonna get the standard typical Mozzie, but this it seemed like a little bit more commercial. Like he had a lot of like you know the whole hitmaker vibe where you sample the 90s and early 2000s songs. He had a lot of those, but he was still Mozzie. Like he didn't go commercial. He didn't go full the baby. You know what I mean? He was still himself. He still kept his sound, but then incorporated some of that newer sound. So I think that this is my favorite Mozzie album because of it was that balance of both. He still give you that street knowledge with that you know, that inspiration and that game or whatever that I look for in a street artist. So definitely a dope project from Mozzie. And then I just found this artist. I'm kind of late. He just dropped a project on March 4th, but artist by the name of Larry June. I can't name all this project. He dropped 9 since 2018, 9 different projects since 2018. So he's been grinding. He's been working. He's from San Francisco. So dope project if you like that Bay Area sound, if you like a Currency sound, like that slow motion, like driving in a low rider type thing. Like Larry June is definitely a dope artist and he got a lot of good projects.
That's hella music for me not to have even heard. Shit.
It's so much music, bro. It's so much.
It's an absurd amount of music though to try to listen to every week, trying to figure out which ones to highlight and which ones not to. So it's crazy. You could even if you just do the simple route and go to Apple Music and just go to browse, it's like 5 different albums that you can possibly talk about. It's like this shit.
And then if you go to like the category, like damn, it's like 10 albums came out this week. I didn't even know because it wasn't on that main page. But so
Wezzy came out. Did you get a chance to listen to him?
Yeah, it's a good project. Good. Solid. He went back to his he went back to his roots. Like the production is dope. Like before he went kind of like trap Wiz and he just was kind of figuring himself out. You don't know where what his identity was. This is a solid, concise. I think it's on like 7 songs. solid, concise project. That's what I like.
You know, I like him short. You
Yeah.
know, I like him short. That album short, dog.
And you would like, if you like Larry June's sound, like his albums be like 25, 27 minutes.
Shit, I say no more. Shit, I'm trying to
Yeah.
check it out.
But
Shit,
that's enough of me talking, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into Drake, and then we'll get into what I think is actually the best album that came out this week. I'm just who am I? Not saying all right.
Hot take.
So Drake dropped the Dark Lane demo tapes, right? And it's about what 12? It's 14 songs. I think about 6 of them probably had leaked before. They're really throwaways. Like they're really like, this is not Drake putting his best foot forward. It's not a real album. It's just a bunch of leaks that came out, and he just put those leaks together, put them on the track with some other stuff that was never gonna make it to an album anyway. So that's kind of what this album is. It's crazy because even with throwaways, it still has like a crazy amount of impact, right? Like when Drake drop, you gonna know he dropped. Like whether somebody texts you, he dropped. Whether you see it on some type of social media, whether it pops up in your playlist out of nowhere, because that's what Spotify and Apple Music be doing nowadays. Just saying. Yeah, you go hear this shit. So it's cool. It's a lot of the songs are how do I say it? There's no bad songs, there's just no really great songs from Drake. You know what I mean? You can tell it's throwaways. When you listen to it, I was just like, oh, this kind of, I got to the front and the back of it, and I'm like, this shit was kind of light. Like this shit really ain't have much on there. Like there was a Joan I think he had with, I think it was Popcorn. Let me see. The Demons was hard.
Well, Fabio.
Yeah, Demons with Fabio was hard. Pain was pretty cool. Not You Too was good with Chris Brown. Chicago Freestyle been really, really dope. He had a whole video for that. So yeah, it like I said, it's a good little thing to music. I think it's a good way to like start out. I think what this really means is that he probably got an even better single in the tuck, because I was surprised that Tootsie Slide was on here, because I assumed that Tootsie Slide with its success was going to be on his album. So, because that's how they do it. But I guess that means that he has an even better single that he's going to be looking to kind of develop when he's going for his full rollout. So I think he, like I said, you said it in the chat, he's going to go number 1 off some throwaways. So
Kenny Chesney is challenging him for it.
Okay.
So he's projected, I think, to do between 220 and 235. But Kenny Chesney, I think he's a country singer. He's projected to do between 220 and 235, with 220 coming from pure album sales.
Damn.
So like, yeah, this may be, I think it's the first time he may not debut as number 1 in like 9 projects or something like that. So like,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
If that's the stat, if that's like the downfall, that's crazy.
It's a disgusting stat. With the throwaways though,
like, all right, y'all already leaking my stuff here. Take an album, bro.
I wish our throwaway pods would go down. I wish our throwaway pods do that. Well, shit.
200. I just want 200 listens, let alone 220,000.
All right, what's up, man? What'd you think about it?
Well, one, I've been watching a lot of Top Boy, which is one of the shows that he executive produced for Netflix. So yes, like I've been talking like I'm from London all week. Like, yes, bro. So after watching that, like, I mean, like I've been consumed by it. So like I really like the Demons track because he rapping in that type of flow, and then I like the War song a lot more because like you hear that soundtrack throughout the Top Boy series. So like it really makes you appreciate that type of sound. Like, oh, okay, Drake really, he paying homage, but he really does it in a real way. So I really appreciated those songs a lot more after getting ingrained with that culture. One thing, like you said, like the overall sound, like I think what it is just missing depth and missing like a message. Like when a Drake project drops, you kind of get a whole vibe from it. Like where is he in this state of his life? Because these songs are just so randomly, you kind of don't get that feeling. Like, and I think we all look for that in the Drake project. So you kind of leave like, nah, that was good. That was a good project, but it's not Drake. You know what I mean? It's not a good Drake project. You know what I mean? Yeah. Drake, he shifts the culture whenever he does something. So, but what I will say is Drake's pen is incredible, bro.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Like it's pretty disgusting. And one thing, after he dropped this, he went on like IG Live and started previewing some tracks that were on the actual album. It's about to be a wrap.
Yes.
It's about to be a wrap. I don't. If I was Kendrick, I would wait, bro. Because he was playing some crazy stuff. Like the slow songs was bopping. The song Roddy Ricch that got previewed in that last beat battle with Hit Boy and Boy Wonder, that joint just went crazy. Like his album is going to be a problem. So like, yeah. So this is arguably up there with like some of the best albums that came out this year. Like just because it's Drake and you can't really resist that talent. But I'm excited for the album. And the fact that the summer is only a couple months away. All right, now where your mask at?
Hold on. I got. Hold on. Do you think? You know what I'm saying? My fault, man. My fault.
No, I agree. It was like just because it's Drake. You know what I mean? You can't really avoid those expectations. But a solid project. Like I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, it is what it is. It just it's music.
Yeah,
it's music. It's those ways. But
good business strategy though.
Yeah, great one. Let's see what we got. The best album I think came out this week. Kiss 5 by K Camp. Kiss 5 by K Camp. I think it's this one. Now I always liked the Kiss series because I remember when we were deployed, I was trying to get you to listen to Kiss 3. We're like a whole damn deployment, and we got to the damn airport on the way back, and I was like, damn. I was like, you ever listen to Kiss 3? He's like, no. I was like, man, you don't never listen to this shit. Took you like another 2 months to listen to that shit. It was like, oh, this shit is hard. I was like, for 6 months ago. So I'm fucking with the Kiss series, but this one I think it might be the best one though. I think it might have the best one. It has definitely the best features. Every feature on here is hard. I know you fucking with the Friendly with Young Blue, Yellow Beezy's on here. They got Jeremiah on here, Jacquees on here, Fable on here made an appearance. That one was all
crazy, and they killed it though.
That one he murdered. Yeah,
he killed it.
But that was just surprising. I was like, what the hell? So overall, like he's always had the good balance of like it's kind of even hard to classify him as a rapper at this point. I feel the same way about him. I feel about Tory Lanez. I kind of just like his R&B stuff more, and we'll get into Tory Lanez here shortly. But I think we got a friend that thinks it's the best R&B album of the year. I'm gonna hold that back a little bit. I think it's still probably third behind just because Division and Kiki came out so hard. So, but that's a big like. Even third that's really high, and this could grow. You know what I mean? It's only been 100 days, so this can grow, and I could come back to next week and be like, this might be number one because it's really good. Again, that's Kiss 5 by K Camp. What's your thoughts on it?
A great project. Like I've been sleeping on it. Like I heard about it, and like the homie Ben said, like, hey, check out the K Camp. Just like how you was talking about, like check out K Camp. And like as far as us, like. K-Camp has been riding since we was in the dorms, like since 2013, 2014. K-Camp stayed with a hit. And it's like he's been quietly consistent. Exactly, like OT Genesis. Like he's not like a superstar, but like even last year he had that viral hit with Renegade or Lottery. Like Renegade, like he went viral on whatever. I don't know what the song called. But you know the song when you hear it on TikTok, like he just keeps one. And like you just kind of sleep on him and like, oh, K-Camp's still around. K-Camp's still around. And then when you hear this project, it's like, yo, K-Camp is really, you need to really start paying attention to him because it's kind of hard to keep that type of longevity over these years and not be like in the news all the time or having this big cosign. Like K-Camp has just been consistently dropping good music, at least had a hit like every year. So with this project, it was kind of like, hey, this is like, hey, we need to start really looking at K-Camp like a serious artist because this project, like I didn't skip a song. Like, it was so crazy. Like, I had to run the whole album back because, like I said, I got the Friendly. Or like you said, I got the Friendly. I was like, hold on. This is going too crazy. This is different right here. This is different. So I had to run the whole thing back. So, like you said, I don't have it as top R&B project of the year, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely in consideration of that top 5. I do see this aging well. Like you said, a bunch of features. Even like the Black Men Don't Cheat. It's like 4 or 5 people on there, and it's just like, smoking it, fire. So Kiss 5, definitely a dope series. Might be the best one, like you said, but it's a dope project. I really, really encourage people to check it out.
Yeah, that's the best one for real this week. No lie.
Yeah,
All right,
that's a good
so
one.
yeah, let's see. We're gonna move on. Talk about Tory Lanez. We said we are gonna talk about Tory Lanez. So Tory Lanez just did he partnered with YouTube. I heard MTV was involved too. I don't know if that's true or false.
MTV is involved with his quarantine radio.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
He's on
they trying to they trying to get quarantine radio to be a staple in on MTV.
That'd be hard as fuck. But so he got involved with YouTube to do a live concert, which is actually really dope. I'm hoping that they do it again, but with other artists just keep doing that type of thing. But basically, yeah, it was a stage, it was a live audience, and just Tory Lanez with some keys, a guitar, and a DJ, and he had his hype man, of course. But performed for about 2 hours. And if you ever seen Tory Lanez perform, we've seen him perform several times. I'm sure he even felt boxed in. He did a really good job, but I'm sure he even felt boxed in because he's in the crowd. When Tory Lanez is performing, he's in the crowd. Like he's climbing up shit. He's doing all types of shit. So it was just different to see him out there. But I want to say that I think it was a success. I think Tory Lanez is he's dominating quarantine. Like he won. Like he did. Like he won, bro. Like he's winning quarantine, bro. He beat it. I don't know how, but he did. Another thing, they had donations, crazy amounts of donations. I don't know if you were on there and you seen the comments how they were going, absurd amount of donations just coming in, flying in at the extreme rate. So overall, Tory Lanez is crazy talented. That one was even more R&B than rap. I think that he probably did that just because it just try to get I think he's starting to figure out that people like that more from him, and he can really sing. Like he can actually really sing. Like it's surprising every time I hear him sing. I'm like, damn. I always thought that it was just a bunch of autotune or some shit on there. Nah, he can really sing. It's not like people say like Drake. Drake sings on stage too, just a bit, but in like little doses. Tory Lanez was singing whole songs with just like keys on, like no beat, no nothing, just like keys, just singing like a whole song. Like he can really get down. So you gotta love Tory Lanez. Like I said, I always say, like talent wise, like likability, as far as just star power, like he's top tier for sure. His sales don't equate to that, and that's his only problem.
Yeah, bro. Like you said, he bought me in quarantine. Like I think he's just so innovative. Like it's genius to think of like quarantine radio and just use your connections. And we'll talk about that in the next topic. But just use your connections to kind of create something bigger, because everybody just has nothing but time. And a big thing that people talking about concerts not really coming back for a long time to kind of channel that. And I think he had upwards almost like 50,000 people in the actual YouTube at one time, which is equivalent to like selling out a stadium. And he kept saying like, "Oh, we just sold out a stadium." Yeah. And like just to have that and just to capitalize on that moment, kind of like what Drake did with Tootsie Slide and TikTok, and kind of like what he's been doing, Tory Lanez has been doing with quarantine radio, just to capitalize on like, we need something. You know what I mean? We don't have sports, we don't have events, we can't go out to the bar. We need something, and just to highlight it. And it was in like in the middle of the day too, so it was like it didn't kill your night, and then take it like you could still do other things. Like it was just a dope idea. And he, like you say, he went for like 2 hours, which is like way more than you would get from like a real concert.
He went into it was bag too. Like he wasn't just like the main street zone. Like he went into like some shit too.
Yeah, he went into like Chicks Tape 2 and Chicks Tape 3 songs. Like it was great. But like you said, it really made me appreciate him as an artist, because like you said, like there were some hiccups. There's always gonna be some hiccups on a live show. Like the DJ would mess up, or he was, he was drinking and stuff. He was like, oh, he was forgetting the words or whatever. But it will be moments where he just, all right, let me take this moment. Hey, I just want to hear the keys. And then he would sing along with the keys. Hey, I just want to hear the guitar. And he would just sing along with the guitar. And like, yeah, and it was just like, it was a whole vibe. Like you would remember like, damn, this is what a concert is about. This is what music is about. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I could listen to your album, but I experienced something. You know what I mean? And like you said, I hope that this is a thing to come. Like I want to see more artists do it. I want to see more people get up there and do it. And I want to see this become a regular thing until concerts can open back up. Now, speaking of which, Missouri, the governor of Missouri actually said that they won't allow concerts starting Monday. So we'll have a trial run in Missouri to see, if concerts just going to be shut down completely or if it's going to be deemed safe. So we'll keep an eye on Missouri. But in the meantime, just like that first iPhone. Like, all right, y'all figure it out. I'm gonna get the Concert XS.
I'll be back on the rerun. Catch me on the rerun, bro.
Yeah,
Catch me on the rerun.
this was dope. I appreciate it. Like you said, people were donating money, and like he was donating a percentage of what he made from that actual concert to COVID-19 relief. So that was a dope initiative. But yeah, you got to respect the innovators, man. And Tory Lanez has been innovating throughout this whole process, and I think this kind of stands what he was talking about, becoming independent. Like once he became independent, he said, "I'm gonna start making moves," and he just hasn't missed a beat since he dropped that last project.
Yep. This is just labels is kind of overrated at this point. Like unless you wanted a big acts like a Drake or somebody like that, labels at this point is kind of everybody that we've seen has had problems with their labels. Now some people we seen had a problem with their labels that didn't kind of understand the business though, because we seen Meg Thee Stallion had it, and then we seen her interview, and I felt like okay, to me it seemed like they were doing their job. You try to renege on some shit. Like that's what's really happening here. So, but labels to me right now, they in a bad spot.
Yeah, it helps you get the audience. You know what I mean, for a new and emerging act, and you know what I mean. It helps you learn the business, but you know, it's some trade off with that. But once you have the audience, once you have that kind of power, once you are a household name, it really doesn't make any sense because
you could do it. It'll take longer.
Yeah,
it'll take longer to get up there, but you can do it though.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, shout out to Tory Lanez, man. Like it feel like we talk about Tory Lanez almost every episode, but gotta give credit where credit is due. Yeah. He's killing the quarantine game.
He's killing quarantine. Another person that's you know, it's time.
It's just for the Wezzy fans. You know, if you're a Wezzy fan, you should tune in.
Tune in right now for the Wezzy fans, bro.
Tune in. All right.
For those that don't know, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't take this is your moment. This your moment.
Young Money Kevo, bro. Come on, let's play it again, bro.
It's just for the Wezzy fans.
Young Money Kevo,
you know,
bro.
If you're a Wezzy fan, you should tune in.
Dog, Lil Wayne, bro. This one was surprising to me because I was surprised when you put it on the docket because I was listening to it, but I was like, you know, my biases, I'm like, you know, I love Lil Wayne, he's my favorite rapper, so I was like, I ain't gonna bring this to the pod because then it'd be hated because I thought it was monumental. But so Lil Wayne got a new basically like a pod, really. I mean, really, if I really wouldn't know what it's kind of like
a radio show.
It's called Young Money Radio. Basically, he plays all Young Money music, mostly his music, but he still got some other, you know, some Mac Main. He got Drake on there. He got Nicki Minaj. He got Tiger sometimes playing. So he got Young Money music playing the whole time. And then in between those, he comes in and he does an interview with just random people, like huge stars. And this is what you're talking about, using your connections. He got a lot of them, like a certain amount, like especially from. It was cool to see people like DJ Khaled and Drake and some of the other artists that was coming on. But when I was seeing he had like the number 4 draft pick from the for the WNBA, he had Jalen Hurts on, he had Stephen A. Smith on, and this is because he has a Young Money, he has a like a sports agency, so he has that, and then he brings that onto it, and he does a really good job interviewing, which is crazy for a guy that never liked to do interviews. He never fucking liked to do interviews, and now he's doing great. He's giving out great interviews, just real like conversation back and forth, and you can tell he got questions to like stay on topic, but he's just doing a great job, dog. Like I was when I first heard, I was like, Lil Wayne doing this is not gonna make sense. But it's crazy because you could see how much he learned from his whole thing with Baby, right? Like you can tell by that and how he talks and what he's doing and not trying to put all his eggs in one bag. The work ethic is crazy. DJ Khaled comes on, he talks about how he did like 50 verses and We Taking Over came out of that with DJ Khaled one time, and he's just like, yeah, man. He was like, bro, I do. This is what I do. Like I just rap, bro. Like that's all I know how to do. That's what I'm best at. So that's what I do. And it was funny because he talked about that, and then he talked about how, you know what, I'll do all those features and I'll come back to my album, and then I can only do like 8 bars. So it's like a weird thing for me. But you get to really dive into Wayne, see who he is, see what he's talking about. Like he's evolved at a crazy. Like I think he's seen like Jay-Z's and Kanye like trajectory. And he's like, I can't just rap no more. Like I need to transition to something else. And this is a beautiful transition. I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this for the real Wezzy fans, man. Tune in. Yeah, like you said, it's dope because I think we kind of hit on it last podcast. Like, we need to give Wayne his props. Like, we need to give him his flowers. And it's dope to see he's such a good interviewer because people really respect him. Like, everybody he talks to. I mean, like, I think the first guest on episode 1 was like the governor of Louisiana. Yeah. And she was just like, hey, you one of our own. And this is the governor, like the legit governor's like, hey, you one of our own. Like, we love you. We appreciate everything that you did. Thanks for teaming up with us on this initiative. And he's talking to people like that. He's talking to other rappers. He's talking, like you said, draft picks. And everybody, like, he talked to Shaq. And everybody had a story to tell, like, hey, this is a moment that we shared. Or this is a moment that you got me through. And because of that respect level that he has with, and because of that rapport he has with so many of these people, he's able to get a good interview. Like, he only asks about 3 or 4 questions, but those 3 or 4 questions, he's able to get so much out of them because, like, hey, what do you think about the season ended? And Stephen A. Smith will just go crazy. Yeah. And then he'll ask Shaq, like, hey, you rap too, right? Tell me about your rapping career. And then he talked about, like, a legendary story with Biggie. And, like, I think this is what needs to happen in hip-hop. Because for so long, and we've talked about it at nauseum, people have just been getting, like, bad record deals, and people have been getting exploited. And we hear every day another situation where people don't have control of their situation. You just mentioned it about why do we need the record labels? We need people like Lil Wayne to step into the space and give them a platform and let them become the media. I think Joe Budden deserves a lot of credit for kind of starting this whole wave. Nicki Minaj with Nicki Minaj Radio. Gilly, even with his $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. Nori with the Drink Champs. We need these people to step into this and kind of elevate the media aspect of this culture. I think what we're trying to do is trying to give some validity to hip hop. And I think what they're doing at their level is giving some validity to hip hop because, yeah, you could talk to an interviewer or a journalist and you can get certain information out of it, but who doesn't want to tell Lil Wayne their story? Who doesn't want to open up and have Lil Wayne kind of communicate that? So I think that because he stepped in this position, because he's feeling it so well, I want to support this to the utmost, wanted to highlight it. Even talking to Drake and like, man, like, oh, now can we get a Drake and Lil Wayne song? Like, he's still active. Like, he just dropped the album. You know what I mean?
The Drake one was cool because it was authentic. Like, it was super, like, they were just on there like fooling around. He got to talk about his dad. Like, man, I didn't know your dad was so talented. Like, most people run up to me like, hey, man, here, listen to my Joan on the side type thing. He said his dad was cool, low key about it. Like, he just dropping shit. Like, it's just crazy. And then I'm glad they kind of not really cleared anything up because it was never any issue, but there was always like a speculation that they weren't fucking with each other because they just haven't dropped some music in a long time together. So Drake said gave him his word. He said he have something for him this week. So you have a track for him to get on this week. So we'll see. It's interesting, man. I can't stop listening to him. I listen to the whole thing every time it come on. I'm listening to the whole thing. I wish I could watch it. I don't know where to watch that. Do you know where?
I think you can watch it on Apple, but I think it's a delay. Like, the audio comes out first and then the video type of thing. But because I watched the first one and I think I watched that live, but I haven't found the video for the second one yet.
I only heard the second one, so. But yeah,
man. Drake talking about his son like it was nothing. Like, for a whole couple of years, like, you couldn't get Drake to talk about his son. Like, when you look back at the Rap Radar interview and you see like how calculated he was, and then you just hear like Wayne, like, hey, bro, congrats to being a dad, and you just hear Drake open up about being a dad, and like, that's what we need, bro. Like, that's what we need.
In a great spot. Wayne's in a great spot. I'm glad he made. And it's funny because it seemed like he just like kind of made it up. Like, he didn't, like, he was like, bro, because DJ Khaled was always like, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't think this shit. This shit just popped off, bro. It's only episode 2, so he just be chilling, vibing. Got Mac making the mixes, and they off to races with that one.
He seemed happy. Like, after every mix, he'd be like, bro, I just want to thank you for tuning in. Like, thank you for watching. Thank you for like. He genuinely just seems like appreciative. Like,
he's been humble.
Yeah, and like always, like when he used to do his shows, like 3 things: I ain't shit without God. I ain't shit without. I don't know, but I ain't shit without you.
Several times too, but he ain't shit without us.
That's what he always end with. Like, I ain't shit without God. I ain't shit without something, but I ain't shit without you. And he's always been that. And I think, and one more thing. Sorry, I don't mean to get long-winded, but the mixes really make me appreciate Wayne's music, bro. Cause it's like he'll put on like some Young Money, but then he'll go to 10 minutes of just Wayne. And then like he won't even play the whole song, and it's just like banger after banger. And he'll play like the Player Circle, just a hook. And I'm like, oh, then he'll go into something else.
It's a nasty mix, bro. It be some nasty mixes, bro. It's a
so crazy, bro.
It's
like,
why I would easily win that Kanye West versus Wayne battle. So.
All right, this is relax.
Come on, man.
Relax. Yeah. But for real though, while we on Wayne, like Wayne is truly a staple in his culture. He will go down as one of the greats. I don't think you can say one artist is the greatest. You know, just hip hop is just so diverse. But
if I did, I'd say Jay-Z though.
I would think Jay-Z, but it's more about preference. You know what I mean? If you're from the South, you know, you might like a certain type of artist. So, but he's up there with one of the greats. Like
rapping wise, there's nobody that's been on a better string of just domination of hip hop though. Like he had like a 10-year span of just dominating everything.
Everybody has a run, but during Wayne's run, nobody can do anything. Yeah. It's like, all right, whatever, bro. Wayne is coming. Like, oh, okay, you dropped the album. Okay, Wayne is dropping the album. Oh, okay, you dropped the mixtape. Wayne is dropping. Like nobody else could flourish in that environment, bro. Like easy.
Nice song you got there. Be ashamed if I had a feature and killed it.
It's funny if I take that and make it mine.
If I take that and put it on my mixtape. He's beefing with Boosie over that for a while. Beefing Boosie over that shit.
Yeah, like I legit I've never heard the Mike Jones version of Sky's the Limit.
I can't even recall what it.
I do not know. All of that Sky's. I hear that beat. That Sky's the Limit. That is a Lil Wayne song, Mike Jones. That is Lil Wayne song.
Yep, man. For real, bro.
Wayne, bro.
You know,
it's just for the Wezzy fans. You know, if you're a Wezzy fan, you should tune in.
Tune in, bro.
Yeah, man. But yeah, we gotta start giving people their flowers, man. We gotta start appreciating people like that.
That's basically what the positivity shout out is about, too.
Transition.
So going to the positivity shout out, I'm gonna go into basically, I don't want to say it was one high school because 3 high schools did it. I don't know who orchestrated it, but in Dallas, the McKinney school district, so they had 3 high schools: McKinney Boyd, McKinney North, and McKinney High. They ordered yard signs for each of their nearly 2,000 graduating seniors in the city. So they had 2,000 graduating seniors. They ordered all these like custom-made graduation like yard signs, and they went out and they put them all in their yards because, you know, we still social distancing. They do have a graduation set for end of May, but it's looking kind of shaky. But the principals of these 3 high schools decided to do this like kind of like a graduation ceremony where they all got dressed up. They got a bunch of teachers to get dressed up into the like cap and gown, and they drove past all these houses and put the signs out, left them a little bit of gifts, you know, waved at them, talked to them for a little bit as social distancing. And I thought that was cool because those are the type of people that I wish I'd give my kids to, right? Like they are actually raising your kids and sometimes more than you can, right? Because you at work this whole time, they over here at the school talking to different people, you would hope that they would care about your kids this much, right? And I'm hoping that this is the wave for most of all the high schools, most of all junior highs, most of all elementaries for sure. But high schools it's an important time. Like you transitioning from being that young dude to growing up into being a man. And when you get out on that 18-year-old and you get out, you 18 and you got to go figure your life out, right? Like right now, like it's no time to wait. So when you have people like that in your corner that care about you and make it known that they care about you, it hits me deep because like when I had kids, I want to know that like, hey, what the fuck y'all teaching my kid? Like, what kind of man are you to be talking to my kid? Like, I need to know that type of stuff. What kind of woman are you since you teaching my kid this? Like, right. It can't just be about what you're teaching them. You got to care about it. So, and we know that teachers are underpaid. Like, we know that they basically public service, but they extremely underpaid. So I just want to give a positive shout out to McKinney School District today.
That's dope, bro. That's dope. That's damn, stop me in my feelings, dog. No. Quick story, bro.
Let me hit the.
Quick story, bro. I just want to shout out my high school principal because I wasn't supposed to graduate high school, bro. Like I was I never went, bro. And I ain't gonna say what she did, but she definitely played a critical role in making sure that I got up out of there. You know? Having people that care, bro. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be here.
That's a terrible positivity shot. And you snitched too.
I ain't say that.
And you snitched out.
She helped me. She helped me, bro.
No, that's real.
She helped me, man. I wouldn't be here today. But yeah, so my positivity shout out, often referred to as my unofficial pop. You know what I mean? I want to shout out 50 Cent, man. 50 Cent just dropped a book. It's called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. One of his many books, last book he wrote or he co-wrote with author Robert Greene, who wrote the 48 Laws of Power. He co-wrote a book called The 50th Law, and he just basically talked about how growing up, his first book, he talked about how his street life kind of translated into business success. And he kind of took lessons from his street activity and everything like that, how he translated that into business success. With Hustle Harder and Hustle Smarter, he's kind of looking back at his life as a whole, talking about different street things that happened to him, talking about different things in the industry that happened to him, and kind of putting it in perspective and kind of taking and giving life lessons with those as the backdrop. So he was talking about different stories of leaving your community. You know what I mean? If you're going to create a team, you don't always have to be connected just to the people that you grew up with. You know what I mean? He talked about how we as Black people coming from that type of environment, we feel like we have to take everybody from our hood or have to stay in our hood once we reach a level of success. And then he used illustrations like his mentor, Jam Master Jay, and he even talked about Nipsey Hussle and talked about how, their demise kind of highlighted that lesson. Then he talked about negotiating tactics and how he offered somebody a point or basically how he described it. If for every album sold, they would get 1%, that's referred to as a point. He offered that to one of his people that he worked with. And the person said, no, I want $50,000. So he gave him the $50,000, but after Get Rich or Die Trying sold all those copies, that 1 point would have been worth $1.3 million. But because that person was so greedy and they couldn't see outside of that moment, they lost that, that amount of money. So 50 Cent has one of the greatest minds. If you think about every venture that he went into, whether that be movies, whether that be TV shows, whether that be music, whether that be endorsements, he's always found some success. So we kind of have to look at that and 50 may be the villain, he may be the troll on Instagram, but he has a lot of game to give out. In this book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, he gives a lot of that game in an easily digestible way. If you like that type of genre book, and I think we need to do better as a community in reading or just listening to an audio book, this book has a lot of game and a lot of life lessons that, have proven to work out for somebody like 50. So shout out to 50 for giving that game in a real way.
That's a good one. I have to check that out. I love the audio books. I'm weird. The people be like, oh, you read? I'll be like, yeah, I do audio books. They be like, nigga, you ain't reading them.
They say it's better when you read it, you kind of retain a little bit more, but it's like listening to a podcast.
Yeah, as you should be doing right now.
That's
all y'all. That's all y'all should be doing right now. Speaking of that, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. So, thank y'all for listening. Again, this is our second edition of our video. This is what we're gonna be transitioning to. This is gonna be the norm, but again, you can still get the audio version if you still mess with that at Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, pretty much any podcast you could think of, any streaming services you could think of. We will be posting these coming up soon on YouTube, so that's where you'll be seeing this. Is what you'll probably be watching this on now. But we'll be having the clips of the pods basically on at the Who My Podcast on Instagram and the Who My Podcast. It's a page on Facebook as well, so you can go ahead and go on those, see any type of things that any clips that you want from the video. If you want to be included on a video, as far as audio wise or anything, we might even be able to call people in if we so choose. For guests, that would actually be cool. But if you want to do anything like that, you can either hit us up on one of those social media accounts, or you can still call in the Anchor app, leave your message there, and we'll play it during the podcast as well.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And I want to shout out to all the subscribers. We do have subscribers on Anchor.fm that actually pay monthly just to support the podcast. We appreciate that. That actually was one of the driving factors to why we were able to get this video capacity. So thank you for everybody that subscribe, everybody that donates, everybody that contributes to the program each and every week that we do produce some type of content. Now that we're having a video podcast, go ahead and leave some comments of like what's some things that you think about. If you talk about something that you completely disagree with, or if you want to add into the conversation, don't let it stop here. You know, feel free to keep this conversation going. So we appreciate each and every one of y'all.
And with that being said,
now it's time for so long. But we'll sing just one more song.
We're not.
No song.
All
right,
bro.
Oh my, the girls them sugar.